Hi there, welcome to Nonsense Whisky. My name is Vin PF, and on today's episode we've got something that I didn't think that I would ever be covering, and that's the Macallan Edition 6. I'll get into this bottle in a little bit, but I want to let you know why I've got this bottle and how I came about it. As you might have seen on the channel, I covered the Edition 2 something like 3 years ago, and never covered any of the other ones since. Didn't really like the Edition 2 much. I was sent a sample of that by a friend. And I tried the Edition 3 at a festival and I really didn't like that. And I have to say, generally speaking, I'm very put off by the flavour profiles that come out of Macallan, so I don't tend to kind of lean towards them much. I don't tend to purchase any bottles of theirs, whatnot, and I tend to try them at festivals and I haven't really come around to them yet. So anyway, I now have this bottle because a fella called Mark Littler, who runs a relatively new YouTube channel covering cask investment, whiskey investment in general, and specialising in things like rare bottles and kind of cask education. He's got a really good channel that's kind of like polar opposite to mine. Mine tends to be kind of focusing on really very few tasting notes, but really the true value of a whiskey as a drinker. Whereas if you're more into kind of collections and investments and you want to find out more about that, then head over onto his channel. I'll drop a link probably in the cards up here, but definitely at the end of the video and definitely in the description below. Now, this bottle has come to me because we're doing a bit of a collaboration, and I'm hoping this will extend a bit further out, but you'll have to watch his video on this to find out more. He recently covered this bottle and didn't open it on the channel because that video is kind of focused around whether this is a sound investment or not. Now, he really goes into the real nitty-gritty of this investment, bringing out graphs and things like that. It's really interesting stuff, and kind of by the end of the video gives you a good idea whether this particular bottle and the collection itself is worth an investment. So if that kind of interests you, I would definitely go and check him out because he's coming at whiskey at a very interesting angle. It isn't really for the kind of popping and drinking, but if you are into that sort of thing, do go and check him out. Now, onto this bottle itself. This is the 6th edition in the Edition series, and it is the last one, so now we have a complete set, which is kind of why we're talking about the investments in whiskies. This is now going to be a self-contained set. There isn't going to be any more added to it. They've got very nice boxes and kind of marketing and whatnot. Not that I'm interested in that, but, you know, it looks nice on a shelf. That's what I'm getting at there, you know, the 6 together. I think kind of, from my opinion, that's really the problem with it because there's not enough people drinking these things. Obviously, there are other YouTubers who have popped this and got samples and whatnot, kind of similar to me, but it's really sitting on a lot of shelves waiting for it to increase in value. Now, most of them are kind of like collaborations of some description, but they tend to be around about Macallan's ethos into whiskey making and exploring their own cask choices. They have kind of loads of weird stuff goes into this thing. You can see on the front of here that it's got quite a few different cask types of varying degrees of interest. I'm not going to go through all that because that's sort of kind of reading off the box. You know, I don't really do that. I'll show you one more thing as well. There's kind of like a wee graph on the back here. If you're interested, you can pause and read a bit more about that there. But for me, you know me, it's all about, is this worth buying to drink? Let's find out. Something I said on my last video 3 years ago when I wasn't really so clued up. I think I probably said something along the lines of not sure if it's added colour or whatnot. All of the Macallan range, apart from the gold, I think. The gold maybe, not sure. But the rest of them are all natural colour. Very easy to say. This one here is a 48.6%, which is a pretty good ABV, you have to say. And although it is going up in price very rapidly right now, this was around about that £100 mark when it first came out. So that's really what I'm going to look at now. We're not talking about the secondary market on this video here. So as we've said, natural colour. That's got a good colour on it there. We like that. Not sure about the age on this thing. Who cares? Let's get onto the nose and see what we've got. Now, before I go into my notes on that, one of the things that really puts me off Macallan is these sulphury elements that I tend to get from them. Not always, but sometimes. And the key thing to note here is that although there is a very, very, very faint waft of it on the nose, it's not overpowering at all. It isn't offending me in any way, shape or form. I'd really like to go back and try that Edition 3 again next to this to see if it's my nose that's changing over the years or if it's I'm getting kind of less sensitive to that sulphury nose. Not sure. But anyway, on the nose then, clearly a lot of sherry influence. This is a heavily sherry influenced whiskey. It isn't sherry bomb level, but it's kind of your dried fruits, that sort of thing. And kind of weirdly on the back end, I'm getting a kind of faint waft of coffee and cinnamon on the back end, which is really strange, but nice. I like that. Let's try on the palate. Okay, it's immediately quite spicy. More of those cinnamon elements coming through. Some ginger coming out of nowhere. And kind of some malty vibes going on in the background as well, like a kind of biscuity maltiness. I have to say, it's really quite nice. Let's have another sip and we'll talk about the finish. Interesting. Finish is really quite long. It's kind of medium long in length. Very spicy, kind of more of those coffee notes really coming out of the back end there. Now I have to say that is the first time I have properly enjoyed a Macallan in a long time. To the point where I might go back and check them out again from the start because maybe my palate's changing. That's what I'm thinking over this. Even though I've got my own personal likes and dislikes, I try not to bring those too much to the channel because really you want to be interested in if you'll like this or not, and my tasting notes will give you an idea if you might like it rather than whether I like it or not. Obviously, you know, I'm one guy, so I'm going to give you some kind of opinion on it as well. But I have to say, I'm kind of enjoying this. Not to the point where I'm going to rush out and spend £100 on it, and certainly not any more than that. I'm very glad that I've avoided this kind of string of editions myself. It's not really kind of what I'm into. But I'd be very happy to drink a dram of this with kind of anybody. You know, if they said, do you want to try a bit of this? Yeah, if it's in a bar, give it a go. But like I said, I'm going to go back and try some Macallans again off camera to start with and maybe get some reviews going again because I'm very interested to see if after all these years my palate has morphed enough to want to go back and try these things. And that's something that I'm all about. You know, I pigeonhole myself a little bit by doing the channel and kind of having my preferences as I mentioned, but I am a big fan of revisiting those opinions just to make sure that they're definitely concrete. One of the reasons why I don't score whiskies, for instance, is because, again, you know, let's say I reviewed this 2 years ago and didn't like it, and now I do like it. Do I change my score? Is that score still valid? Should I delete that score? Can't bother with any of that. Just get rid of it. I can't really vouch for my own consistency in that matter. But anyway, that hopefully was an interesting review to you, and hopefully you might think about popping up your whiskey if you've got this. But before you do that, make sure you go and check out that video from Mark Littler. He will tell you his opinion on whether he thinks you should open these things or not. And one of the things he's going to be doing on his channel going forward is covering those rare investment whiskies and giving you a bit of history on each one to tell you if he thinks that it's going to increase in value or not. So yeah, check out that video. It's coming up in the credits in a second. And do go and check out his video if you are a whiskey tuber watching this, because he's got something in mind with this. I'm now going to sign this box and this bottle, and you'll see why if you check out his video. Thanks for watching today's video. Make sure you go and check out Mark Littler on his channel, which is the top video here. And if we manage to get the series going, there should be another link underneath it, which will bring you onto the next person's review. That'll be coming up in a short while, so make sure you come and check back in a month or so to pick up that video. Thank you.